Captain Planet, motherfucker.
Captain Planet, he's our hero. Gonna take pollution down to zero.
Spider Sense is the name of this week's episode, and no, this has nothing to do with Spider-Man, unfortunately. Nope, instead, this week we've got the opposite of a homecoming when the Powerpuff Girls and Professor Utonium decide to take some time far from home and go on a vacation at some jungle resort. What exactly does this have to do with spiders? Well, anyone who's familiar with the first season might be able to guess, but in case you don't remember, you probably already saw her in the thumbnail anyways. That's right, Sapna's back, because apparently every secondary character from Season 1 is returning in Season 2. How does her second appearance stack up compared to the first? Guess we're about to find out.
Welcome to the abundant Arañita Resort, the maximum and relaximum.
The Utonium family arrives at the abundant Aranjita Resort, as you just heard from their wonderful host and owner of the vacation spot, Javier Xavier. In other words, the same name repeated, but pronounced differently the second time. In case you're curious about what exactly abundant Aranjita means, the Aranjita is the name of a popular flower that grows around the area with a signature scent the resort has become famous for. It's a fictional flower though, so don't try going out and looking for it because you won't get many results. Factually speaking, Aranjita in Spanish actually translates to little spider, which is the first hint that Sapna is involved with this plot somehow. Javier hypes up his resort, stating that the guests can have anything their heart desires, for he truly believes that. As his slogan implies,
You deserve it!
But yeah, he basically has the philosophy that at his resort, his guests can have anything they want, and if they don't like something, they should just throw it out.
During your stay here, everything will be at your fingertips.
Fingertip? Oh.
The delivery of that line was priceless. Like, wow, I could actually feel the disappointment in Bubbles' voice with that one. He continues to list off all of these items that they can enjoy as guests, such as fan drones and drink coasters. But for the professor specifically, he gets a nice set of complimentary culottes because though that professor loves designer clothing, apparently.
Damn, he's
Extra thick!
Anyways, the girls get comfortable and proceed to rest and relax as they pamper themselves with all of these variations and luxuries that they have at the resort. Buttercup drinks an endless amount of slushies from this infinite slushie maker, tossing out each flavor after she drinks one measly sip. Bubbles collects an unlimited supply of lotion for some reason. I don't really know what enjoyment she's getting out of that. And Blossom chills by the pool surrounding herself with a cacophony of towel swans. All of these activities that the girls are doing are meant to hint at the main idea of the episode ever so subtly.
If you spell subtly like this.
The idea of this episode is as basic as it gets. Don't be wasteful and protect the environment. Buttercup keeps throwing out her cups, which, okay, I get that she's wasting precious sustenance, so that's totally understandable, but Blossom's towel swans just sit there, so I don't know how this affects the environment, and Bubbles keeps wasting all of these lotion containers while blatantly stating to us,
They give you an endless supply of lotion in these tiny unrecyclable bottles.
All of a sudden, a huge rumble begins to shake the resort, and the girls rush over to the gate entrance, where they see Javier dusting himself off and the environment destroyed all around him. Javier explains to them that a monster came through and demolished the resort's Get Wild activity zone, although to be honest, I had a feeling that something fishy was going on with him the first time I watched this, and I mean, who wouldn't? We didn't actually see anything happen except for Javier getting up and the gateway destroyed, so he could have been the one responsible and putting on a guise to protect himself. But in reality, he's actually innocent and the monster he's describing is real. I don't know how this dude planned on taking the monster down though, considering what he was up against, which we'll see momentarily. He's just a guy without superpowers, so he didn't really stand much of a chance. The girls proclaim that they can take it on though, and after learning more information from Javier, like how the monster is drawn to the scent of the Aranjita flower, they follow the trail of strange green slime in order to track it down, while the professor collects a sample with his bare hands, because radiant green slime doesn't scare him, to do some research and figure out the source of the issue. The girls follow the glowing green river and stumble upon a strange cave, where suddenly a bunch of gigantic mutant spider creatures begin attacking them semi-violently. This sends Buttercup into absolute panic mode, which I appreciate for its consistency with her fear of them in Arachno Romance. Or maybe it's just a coincidence and conveniently worked out that way. I can never tell anymore. Suddenly, out comes Sapna to greet the girls again, not appearing in the show since season 1 like 40-ish episodes ago. She's still as rambly and obnoxious as ever too, so it seems that didn't change much. At least she can't spoil Space Tow Truck this time around. She does provide a competent recap / reintroduction to people who may have missed the first episode. Short but sweet, and that's all we need, so I'll give it that. Now it's time for a flashback as she explains to the girls why she's stuck as a half-human, half-gigantic scorpion spider. So she still has that one quirk of turning into a spider every time she feels love, right? And decided to go trekking through this jungle in search for a cure to her problem. This is where she began to study the Aranhita spiders and their relationships to the Aranhita flower, which contains their antivenom that she was hoping to possibly rework into a cure for herself.
Huh? But the flowers all died suddenly.
Everything I touched died!
Sapna also happened to notice that strange glowing river a while back, and like a dumbass she tried to investigate it without being smart about her own safety and fell right in. When she awoke she looked like this and has been stuck in this form ever since. This begs the question though, why was Blossom able to stick her hand in the river earlier without any problem at all? Maybe Chemical X, but I don't count it because the show never acknowledges the chemical at all. And how did the professor take a sample with his bare hands too? Like, if this is supposedly toxic and radiant, you'd think they'd be a little more careful. Maybe you could make the counter-argument that the river only affects spiders, but that's oddly specific and I'm torn on whether or not I'd buy that, considering this is just general pollution. Before anyone questions why she looks like a scorpion, I was quick to make that assumption too. I thought this was blatantly inaccurate, but it turns out that after doing some research, scorpion-tailed spiders are a real thing, so this isn't a misnomer the way the Chinchillosaurus was for this obviously chick-inspired design. You know, which look nothing like a chinchilla. So yes, this is actually accurate to a kind of tropical spider. So despite her negligence and ignorance of falling in, she did manage to deduce the source of the problem. The glowing green river is actually polluted waste pouring out of the resort, as if we didn't see that coming. Yep, pollution is back at it again as wasted green goop and towel swans are plaguing the river and wildlife around the area, which explains why all of those tiny spiders turned into gargantuan mutants that attack the girls. And this is where we get yet another moral in which the girls immediately realize that they weren't aware of what they were doing and that a life of luxury comes at a price, that be polluting the environment. Well, more so that you shouldn't be wasteful. The vacation itself has nothing to do with it specifically. Sapna claims that the only cure for her predicament is from the anti-venom found within the flowers, which only grow in the resort now, seeing as the rest of the environment is fucked.
I can't go in there.
I know what you mean. Those hotel keys are tricky at first, but if you just throw them out, they'll give you a new one and... Oh, I see what the problem is now.
Yeah, no shit!
And then for the sake of convenient plot advancement, Sapna comments on the fact that because of the state she's in, sometimes she loses control, which causes her to then turn into a vigorous monster intent on completely decimating the girls. In response, Blossom tells her sisters that they have to fight back, but without hurting her because she's their friend. Ultimately, in terms of action, there's not much to see here other than this one shot where it tries to depict Blossom flying around the beast while giving her sisters orders, which I honestly think could have been a really cool shot to pull off if the show wasn't so cheap with its animation budget. But yeah, other than that, the girls get captured and nearly get eaten before the professor manages to swoop in and tranquilize her with a dart that magically turns her back to normal, off frame, while he rambles about wanting to have a hero moment even though he's completely undeserving because the girls already figured everything out. When she wakes up in her human form, she realizes that while her Aranhita problem is cured, her spider love issue is still completely intact, so I guess that's still a thing.
Wow! After Javier made all the changes to the resort, the jungle is almost back to normal.
Not to be a pessimist or a killjoy, but last I checked, pollution doesn't go away in a day, so exactly how much time passed between now and then is incomprehensible to me. Like, you can't just sit here and convince me that this is simply a day or a week later. A significant amount of time would have to pass. And Sapna states that Javier will let her stay at the resort while she continues her research, which clearly implies that there hasn't been that much passage in time, but okay, I guess. I think it would have been better to begin with Bubbles exclaiming that the jungle is starting to return to its original state and then show the small, faster changes rather than just saying, oh, everything's back to normal now because there's only 1 minute left in the episode. Javier solves the pollution problem by using reusable cups and not making more towel swans.
How the fuck do towel swans pollute anything?
The problem is putting them in the sewer pipes, not their mere existence. And same with the cups. The issue wasn't with the items themselves, it's the fact that they were being dumped and wasted.
I am the true hero today.
So Javier takes credit for his solutions to the problem when he claims that he's the true hero, and the girls get mad at him for saying that. But why? He solved the problem. Sure, the girls pointed out there was a problem, but as they just said, Javier was the one who made changes to the resort to fix the problem. Not them. The girls probably didn't do anything, so excuse me, but hell yeah, Javier is the hero here. Bravo, my guy. This man was alerted there was a problem, took action, and fixed it. It's not like he was intentionally destroying the environment, it was an accident. Did he cause the problem in the first place? Yes. Did he do it on purpose? No. Did he fix it? Yes. Therefore, he's the damn hero.
This was all because of your hotel. Yeah, and the whole you deserve it thing.
Perchance you are willing to forgive me.
For what? You don't need to ask forgiveness. You made up for your mistakes, clear as day. You're gold, my man. And if they don't forgive you, then they're the ones who should be ashamed. Not gonna lie though, like I said earlier, I was under the implication throughout this episode that Javier would turn out to be the bad guy because he just has that sort of vibe about him. Maybe it's the vacation too good to be true idea that had something to do with it. The dude literally has robot servants for Pete's sake. So that's why I was led to believe that, and I'm kinda glad I was wrong about him. I also theorized that he could have spider powers just like Sapna, but that wasn't the case either since it was just her who was responsible for the destruction of the resort at the beginning. Overall, I find that the forced moral is more forced than the usual forced moral, which may or may not be saying something, although it's certainly not as bad as the last episode, Memory Lane of Pain. Javier is the best character in Spider-Sense, and I appreciate that he didn't turn out to be evil after all, because that would have been the more obvious approach. For an episode called Spider-Sense, I'm pretty disappointed that there's not a single Spider-Man reference to be found. I have no idea where the sense part of the title comes in, considering there was never any sensing aspect to anything that happens, so it just feels tacky. But considering the first thing anyone thinks of when they hear Spider-Sense is Spider-Man, that was a pretty big missed opportunity. Final verdict, the Lorax is better.